Hey, welcome to Bucs Bounty. I got my buddy Matt Capps, and we are going to talk a little Bucko baseball. We're going to go around the league. Of course, we got to talk about that trade deadline. But Cappy, there's been a lot going on, and I first want to start with one. Hello, how you doing? You doing all right today?
I'm doing fantastic, doing very well. It's been a long day already, but you know what? I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it goes nowadays, right? In August, it's kind of the dog
That's
days.
right.
It seems like every day is just a little bit longer. Every trip is a little bit heavier. But how did you get through August? How did you focus on just the day to day, showing up to the ballpark and not worrying about all the other things? Because you said it last night. These guys are human, and it's real when it's tough. You're not winning. You got things going on with family, and you're traveling constantly.
Yeah, a lot of baby powder and air conditioning was
Oh,
really the secret. It's all across the country. It's hot. Everywhere you go,
yeah.
it's hot. Your body's kind of run down. You're looking at as a reliever. You're up into the 50s in games and appearances. So you're in good shape, but a lot of times the arm is hanging, and you're kind of looking out, 6-8 weeks of baseball left, and hopefully you're in a situation where you're looking at a playoff run, and you're kind of revitalized at that point. But yeah, you just take it day by day. It sounds very cliche, but put one foot in front of the other and see where it leads you. You start looking out too far, you get in trouble one way or the other. So focus on the task at hand, what's in front of you today, what you can control. It goes back to, I've said it a million times. My favorite saying that I heard in all the baseball in my whole career was control the controllables, and don't spend any energy wasted on things that are out of my control, because it doesn't matter. I'm just worrying. It's like a rocking chair, right?
Yeah.
You're doing something, but you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, you look like you're need to be in an insane asylum at times.
Well, probably
Cappy,
deserved for me.
hey, me too. I'd be sitting right next to you. Um, when it comes to like being able to kind of get your mind away from the game, I mean, in August the Buccos only have 3 off days. What are some
Hmm.
of the things that you would do to kind of, I guess, change the script or close the tabs in that brain of yours? Because I know you're probably like me. I usually am a little bit more wilder outside, but you have that brain going all the time. How did you turn it off and get away? Whether it was good or bad, you always need to find a way to kind of reset.
I like to walk.
I love that.
I'll go for an hour walk, 90 minutes, 2 hours. Well, I went this morning for 90 minutes. And
Love it.
physically it does a lot of good things for you. But, I've noticed, like, for me, those days that I don't get the walk in and I don't just get out and move a little bit, my stress level is up. So I think sometimes just going for, even if it's 45, 50, 60 minutes of just a walk, kind of an aimless walk. When I come to Pittsburgh and I'm working here, like, I'll get out and walk through the city in the mornings, go from, like this morning, I was out at 7:30 and I walked until I went over and did the boys and girls camp at 10:15. So almost 3 hours just out on the streets, walking around, get a cup of coffee. It's not a fast paced walk. Like Rob King told me yesterday, get that northerner walk going. There's no
Oh,
southerner
he
walk
did-
and no
he
southerner
slightly
walks going
runs.
right now.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, dang, Kinger.
I'm
I
with
should
you,
have
but
should.
calm down, Kinger. All right, Cappy. I'm a huge walker too. Absolutely love it. Let's transition into the trade deadline. It was a wild one. I believe there was 50 or 51 trades in the last 31 hours. The one I want to start with before we get into the biggest winners and losers is the Twins, your former team. They traded literally 38%
Everybody.
of their roster. I just want to name some of the names: Carlos Correa, Duran, Jax, Castro. Uh, I mean, you're talking about Paddock, Bader, France. I mean, it just goes on and on. They traded their whole entire roster, and it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks prior to this. They had a chance to be in the playoffs, but they didn't trade the guys that were being talked about. They didn't trade their best pitchers. But they did trade 11 major league guys. That is insane, but I think they're big winners for it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I don't know enough about the depths of their organization and kind of what they
Yeah.
have in the lower levels of the minor leagues that they're excited about and what they have in the higher levels of the minor leagues that they expect to impact in Minnesota over, next year or 2027 and 28. So I'm just not educated enough to really comment on that with their organization. But you look at something like that, some of the guys didn't surprise me. Obviously, if they're out on 2025, trading a guy like Duran made sense. Having an elite closer in the back end of your bullpen, if you're not expecting to go deep into the playoffs, doesn't make a ton of sense. I know there was a lot of talk about Byron Buxton being moved at the deadline, and I read something where Buxton came out and just kind of laughed about it and was like, "No, I can't be traded. I have a no trade. I'm a Twin for life." And I know
love that.
Byron.
I love that.
Yeah, I know Byron loves it in Minnesota. It's a team that drafted him, brought him to the big leagues, and he signed a long-term deal there because he wanted to stay. But with what they're getting back, I think they're building for a pretty quick turnaround. And just guessing again, I said I'm not privy to their behind the curtain conversations, and I'm not educated enough on what they have in their system. But I would guess their lower levels, they probably have some guys that they're excited about and that prospect up. But it's really hard to look out 2 or 3 years. You see a guy in rookie ball or low A ball and project what they're going to do in the big leagues. You kind of need to see them, for me at least, you need to see them in AA, AAA, or, a couple of years in a row of how they compete and how they make adjustments before you can really put a comfortable projection on them. So they just kind of replenish their system and they're getting ready for a run with, like you said, the pitching that they already have and guys that are controllable. It wouldn't surprise me if 27, 28, 29, the Minnesota Twins are a force to be reckoned with. And that's kind of a patented thing for the Minnesota Twins. I mean, you think about the run they had in the late 80s, early 90s where they were really good, and then they had a little bit of a drought. We're even talking about moving the team, leaving Minneapolis, leaving Minnesota.
Really?
And and then they had that young core. They had that young core with Jock Jones and Doug Minkiewicz. I believe Torrey Hunter was part of that group. Yeah, Tucky Fresh. They had AJ Przinsky was one of them. I think there was 3 or 4 position guys, and then they had some older pitchers. I believe it was Brad Radke was there that was a little more established and had kind of gone through the ups and downs. And then they made a nice run in the early 2000s and kind of carried that over even through my time there. Through 2012, 2011 and 12 were kind of down years based on expectations. But 2010, we had a really, really good team. And they brought me over in a trade. It was me for Wilson Ramos. And at the time, that felt like Ramos. A pretty – with the Water Buffalo, is that right?
The Water Buffalo, I played with him in Tampa, yeah.
Did you?
He looked like a Buffalo.
I mean, at the time, that was a very – kind of even trade. The Minnesota Twins had this guy named Joe Mauer behind the plate that was pretty good. So they had a top prospect in AAA that there was no room for him to get to the big leagues, and they had a need in the back end of the bullpen, and I was having a good year, and the trade looked like it was going to be pretty win-win for both sides. And then I got hurt in 2012, and Joe Mauer had gotten hurt in 2011 and had been down. So then it became lopsided because Ramos went off in Washington and had a pretty nice couple of year run for the Nationals. And Twins fans will tell you that's one of the worst trades that's ever been made from the Twins. But just a lot of circumstances that kind of came into play that makes it look that way now, 15 years after the fact. But when the trade happened, it was, I think, pretty favorable for both sides. It was a good trade. And that's how it goes. I mean, a lot of times with these trades, you really won't know winners and losers of that trade, for 4 or 5, maybe 10 years down the road before you can really tell.
So we'll stay away from the losers. On the winning side, Like for me, I look at Philadelphia and them putting Durant in, and if you have not seen, which I know you have, but fans out there, if you've not seen what happened in Philadelphia and read the story about how they got all of that done for his intro music, all the graphics and everything else, and the fact that it starts with a bell is wildly insane, that the Liberty Bell and Philadelphia
Hmm.
and the Bell's part of their logo. So they're in my top 3 or 4, but also I got to give a lot of love to Seattle. Seattle really bolstered the corners. They brought in 2 power guys from the Diamondbacks, and Cappy, that changes that entire team for me because they just needed some offense because their pitching is phenomenal. 2 teams I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that I think you're going to say nailed it is the San Diego Padres and the New York Mets because they did the one thing that every team should do if you're making a playoff chase: bolster the bullpen like crazy because you can't have enough arms. In the last 3 or 4 years, every playoff team that's won, it's because of their bullpen. Period.
The bullpen. Yep. No, that's right. I mean, pitching and defense wins championships. You've heard that from the beginning of time. Pitching and defense wins championships, and it's true. I mean, good pitching almost always beats good hitting, and you get into series like that. I mean, just think about the Pirates. Was it the '70 World Series when they beat the Yankees? I mean, the Yankees outscored them by a huge margin. But the Pirates won 4 games before the Yankees were able to win 4 games. So that's why I love playoff baseball. But Dave Dombrowski in Philly, when you look at his career as a general manager, I think he's learned from mistakes in the past, and that's what he did. Was he went out and got a guy like Duran to build up that bullpen. They lost
the perfect
Alvarado.
fit for me. Yeah,
I think so. Me. I mean, he's a really good pitcher. I don't know his splits offhand, but high velocity fastball and then 100-mile-an-hour split finger. That's going to play well in Philly. That's going to play well anywhere. But getting a power guy like that to put in the back end of your bullpen and kind of slot everybody else down that's had to be on the backer side since Alvarado was suspended earlier in the year, which makes him ineligible for the postseason. I think that was a big thing for them. And then going on to Seattle with what you said, I love that. I mean, Cal Raleigh's having a career year. Maybe he's busting out to become one of the best catchers of all time. I mean, he's incredible. We saw him hit a homer against us when we were out there in Seattle, and to be able to DH and catch, I mean, this better than anybody. Physically, it's almost impossible to catch every day. To be able to give him a break and let him DH a couple of days a week, he's not bad defensively. I enjoyed watching him catch.
Won a Gold last year, actually. Wild enough.
So now to be able to do what he's doing at the plate, to be able to support him. I mean, who knows? You put those guys in the lineup around him. It's scary. His last 2 months could be better than his first 4 months because now he's got all that protection around him.
50 homers. Yeah, you put over 50 homers around him. Rosarena's hotter than fire. So you have a lot of things going for you. And, just a couple years ago, they had the Rookie of the Year, and he's hot. So they have a really, really good lineup.
No one destroys a baseball like O'Neill Cruz.
That is the hardest hit ball in known Major League history.
Pitchers should consider themselves warned.
And it is gone! There's a Cruz missile!
Log in with your cable provider and stream the Pirates all season long on SNP 360.
I am going to push us forward a little bit in the sense of the Pirates. We got to get to the Pirates. The Pirates had a busy trade deadline. There's a couple guys. When you look at it, you're like, okay, we got 3 guys that can catch behind the plate. Very interesting, but they're one's a hitter first. The other 2, one plays outfield and catches. And, we did a weird trade for me. One, I'm not a fan of the Bednar trade. I don't love the Bailey Falter trade. I do like the return from the Bailey Falter trade, but I hate sending controlling assets away, especially when we have guys still here that are not controllable like we talked about. I know they have a plan. They have all the information humanly possible. They feel like they won this trade, but it's always tough to see guys, especially for me, Key Bryan, 2020, I've seen him the last 5 years. Adam Frazier, I saw him when I first got here in 18. David Bednar, I'm catching him and hanging out with him in the offseason. So it's like there's some personal side to this too. But with all that being said, Caps, who do you think they nailed on the return? And I'm gonna throw a couple people out there. And there's one guy I really want you to focus on because he has 2 Hall of Famer names. So first, we got this kid named Titus in a Hunter Stratton trade way before all this happened because Hunter Stratton got designated. He is raking in Greensboro. That was a nail for me. I like the Adam Frazier trade. We got a guy that's stuck behind Bobby Witt. Cam, he is absolutely crushing and playing great defense in Indianapolis. But the one for me that I think if you go to every evaluator, Mayo even talked about is Sammy. He was second-round pick for the Reds in 2003. He's having a really good year. Super speed, probably going to steal about 50 bags. So we'll have Connor Griffin with 50-plus bags and this kid with 50-plus bags. This kid's a shortstop as well. Probably get pushed around because Connor Griffin's pretty good, I believe. But, they are doing some cool stuff. But there was a trend for me on the offensive side. That was they were trying to get less swing and miss or chase outside the zone, even if they did have it in the zone. Really understand that part and trying to get some more power. But there's a guy, Jeter Martinez. Cappy, he's in the Cal League. I played there. It's like playing on the moon. His numbers are super inflated. But prior to that, the dude's punching tickets. He runs the fastball in the mid to upper 90s, and he's got a wasteful slider that is supposedly nasty. And Jonathan Mayo in MLB Pipeline said this guy has the highest upside here, but he may have the lowest floor because you don't know with pitching. So kind of talk about being traded to an organization as a pitcher, what that could look like. Everything changes for you immediately because, everybody teaches different. There's analytics that are different. Usually when you get traded pitching-wise, it's like, hey, bud, we see four-seamer, not sinker. We see curveball, not slider. And you have to go, yeah, I want to take this giant risk, but you're like 22, so you're going to do it no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, you take all that information from a player's side, you take all that information and try to take from different places what you like and absorb it and grow with it, and then what you don't like or what doesn't work, and you almost kind of, I don't want to say forget about it, but you kind of store it back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I remember a couple of times in my career getting information and trying to do something with it and it just not working for me and trying to figure out why.
Would you always try?
Yeah. Not necessarily in the games. Yeah.
No.
Not in the games, but on the side and in bullpens and in between and stuff like that. You would tinker with things. I tell kids the same thing. Like, don't ever be afraid to try different grips. Because how I grip my slider might be different than how you grip your slider or your changeup or your two-seamer. Like, a two-seamer, a sinker, you take 100 pitchers to throw a two-seamer and you might see, 50 different grips. It's just what's comfortable and like just little turns, like little subtle turns of the ball and how your finger pressure and things like that come off. We're all different. We're all humans that are made a little bit different. So I would try things, but I think what you can't ever forget as a player is you can't ever forget what got you there. So for me, for example, when I would go to a different place or I would see a different pitching coach or talk to somebody else, and you talk about hitters and scouting reports. Well, this guy can't hit a slider. This guy can't hit a curveball. This guy really struggles with a changeup. Well, that's all great and good, but that's my second, third, and fourth best pitches. So what got me drafted, what got me to the big leagues? It was my ability to throw a fastball with decent velocity and command it. So if I'm going to get beat, especially late in the game, I want to get beat with my best stuff. Because it happens. When you get beat with your second, third, and fourth best pitches, it's hard to sleep
Shame
at
on
night.
you.
Yeah, it's really hard to sleep at night. So there's so much more information now available to these guys than there was during my time and during your time. But you have to find a way to kind of filter it all out. And, my advice to Jeter Martinez is that don't forget who you are first and foremost.
Amen.
Now, are
he
there
should be
things
super
that,
stoked he's leaving the moon in Cali.
Oh, yeah,
that place is a
yeah.
joke.
Coming to the East Coast and pitching, you're going to have a better chance of seeing more respectable numbers, or what you're wanting to see. Your stuff's going to play different. And maybe the Pirates do see something different with his arsenal and kind of how his arm moves and things like that they can make his stuff even better. I think you should acknowledge that and try things. But you can't get too far removed from who you are. And you got to understand that too. They're bringing you in because they see something they like. They're not bringing you in to try to make you a reclamation project and things like that. But the Pirates deadline this year for me is something that the jury's going to be out for a little while. This is not something that right away, is it something we can be excited about? Certainly. There's a lot of potential, and there's a lot of guys with high upside. You saying Jonathan Mayo, saying Martinez might have the lowest floor because he's a pitcher. I understand that. There's a lot of things that can happen. The mental side of pitching, the physical side of pitching. There's a ton of things that can happen where, he may never progress past the level he's at now if something happens. Yep. And that's just the nature of the beast with pitching. But from an organizational standpoint, the higher you can make that floor, and I guess.
Amen. Preach, brother. The
higher you can make the floor, the better chance you have of being successful. It's not always the team with the highest upside that wins. It's the team that is consistently the best. And that's kind of that floor right there, where we know every day this is what we got. Some days, the opposing team's going to go a little bit higher and be better, and we're going to lose. But depending on our opponent and what we can consistently do, we have a better chance of winning more baseball games. So, bringing in talent and having that stockpile of talent, I think, is a really good thing. And I think Ben Cherington did a good job at this trade deadline. You mentioned David Bednar. I love David Bednar. He's, pitching and baseball aside, he's a great human being.
I do. Yeah. I hate it because he's such a great human.
Well, I know,
but
and I'm with you, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he's awesome. Nothing would make me happier than for him to come back in a year or two in free agency and be at Pittsburgh 100%. For the rest of his career. But from where the Pittsburgh Pirates are, there's no room for this personal emotion type connectivity in Major League Baseball. It is what it is.
I do think on that side, though, I do think you got to bet on guys. And I know every team does that different. Obviously, they bet on Reynolds, they bet on Keller. Supposedly, they're trying to work with Skeens. But I do believe you bet on guys. It's just so hard, and we talked about this just the other day. It's hard to bet on a bullpen guy. It's hard to give them a bunch of money or a bunch of years. It's always going to be a short contract. So David Bednar, being an incredible human being, I thought maybe would buy him that. He's got roots here. He's from here. He's got a house here. And all of that kind of went into my thought of maybe this will happen. But the reality of it is, think about around the league. We don't see that much. You may see a 2-year deal. You may see whatever, but it's just not there.
You're not going to give a reliever more than 3 years. It just doesn't happen. And going back to kind of like Duran with the Twins, if the Pirates are out of it this year, so you've got roughly 2 months of baseball left. They would have to cover an incredible amount of ground to be in the running come the last couple of weeks of September. Highly unlikely. So, from a baseball decision standpoint, if you can trade a guy like David Bednar in the back end of your bullpen and get some value that can help you over the next 3 to 5 years, you probably have to make that deal. It's a strength that the Pirates have, pitching. Dennis Santana's been fantastic. Carmen Mlodzinski has been really good out of the bullpen. I'm a big fan of Kyle Nicholas. I think we're going to look up in the next couple of years, and Kyle Nicholas is going to be a horse in there. Braxton Ashcraft, I don't know if they're –
oh, so nasty.
Don't know if their plan is to put him back into the rotation or give him a chance in the rotation. But I
was talking
really
about
like
Nicholas,
him.
but him too.
Yeah, well, Ashcraft. Yeah, well, I mean, both
Both.
of them have great stuff. I mean, we've seen 98, 99, 100 miles an hour out of both of them with really good secondary pitches. So I think your bullpen has the makings, even without David Bednar, of still being a really good bullpen. So that's a strength for the Pirates. We've got some starting pitching in the minor leagues that we expect to come up and impact, hopefully, if not in the next couple of days and weeks, but hopefully this year in 2025, but certainly next year will be impactful. And that's going to give you some questions out of your rotation, kind of like with Ashcraft starting in the minor leagues and then getting to the big leagues and being a bullpen guy. Is there somebody here in the rotation now that is going to have to shift to the bullpen just to stay in the big leagues? Like, pitching is a strength. That is something that this regime has done a really nice job of is stockpiling power arms and pitching. And that's a luxury to build, an organization around starting pitching, never have too much of it. And those guys like Ashcraft that have been starters, and you got to get him to the big leagues. And the only spot's in the bullpen. Well, let's put him in the bullpen. And, dude, this guy could end up being one of the best relievers in all of baseball. It's a lot easier to go that direction from the starter into the bullpen than it is from, having a ton of relievers. And we got to find some guys that can give us some length. Yeah. So I think the Pirates, pitching wise, are in a good place. And, the trades they made, hopefully give us those bats that we need where we can get some offense. I mean, how many times have we talked this year about that was a great start again. Bullpen was good, but we lost 2-1 or we lost 1-0. I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but it's something like when the Pirates score 4 runs or more, their record is 20 or 30 games over 500, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So we need offense.
We definitely need offense. And to wrap up the pitching, I think the way the game is set up now, Matt, is it's good to have guys like Oviedo, who's been a bullpen guy, who is a starter that could jump back in, and you're going to see it tick up because that's the way it goes. Ashcraft, struggling in the minor leagues, comes here and dominates in the bullpen. Nicholas, former starter that's out in the bullpen. And then, they tried Harrington, and that's where I kind of want to go is there's more opportunities that are going to be open and available. We both caught breaks due to a trade, and you get an opportunity. Do you seize that moment? And I think on the position player side, we're going to be able to kind of evaluate and see, okay, where are we at? We have Peguero up playing some shortstop. IKF's moving around. They kept him. Could they sign him back? And then you look, is Canario going to get some bats? Very intriguing behind the scenes numbers. I mean, the bat speed, the link through the zone, his exit velocities, but he's got some swing and miss. Very interesting, but not playing very much. Jack Sawinski, I feel like his confidence is growing daily. We've seen him hit some homers, tons of walks since he's been called back up. There's a lot of chance for guys here now to get more bats, more opportunities, but also guys like Nick York, who was the Priester trade with Boston just last year. He was regarded as one of their best prospects. I believe he was number 6 on their top 30. And also everyone in MLB was talking about this is the steal of trades this year that nobody really sees, nobody knows about because of his underlying numbers, his bat speed, his exit velocity, his barrel rate, all of it off the charts. And it was kind of like, oh no, did they just steal a diamond? But he's just now getting hot, went through some injuries, had a weird year. But that's the coolest part about all this for me, is as sad as it is to see guys go. It's cool to see guys make debuts. It's cool to see guys get opportunities and seize them. And that's the part we have to remember. The game will let it all filter out one way or another. And it's incredible who we'll look back at that didn't make it, but it's even more so incredible the guys that nailed it. They got the opportunity, they seized it, and they went on.
Yeah, no, it's time will tell. Time will tell. Adding guys and bodies that the ceiling is high. You can go after those high ceiling opportunities and take chances. I mean, think about O'Neal Cruz. When we got O'Neal Cruz, he was 19 years old
Watson.
in A ball.
Yep.
That was a big time flyer that could end
Yeah.
up being an incredible trade for the Pirates. I
It
think
was honestly
already
a salary dump. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
salary dump. Because Tony Watson was making a lot, and he was a back end guy like we talked about. And you get an Odo Cruz who probably looked like a puppy, or maybe even a daddy
Yeah.
long leg.
Yeah.
6'7", just like this. They're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna take that guy. Man,
Yeah.
did we nail that?
That's worked out well.
It's worked out well. So some of the other trades. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's why you have so many scouts on the payroll, and you got to trust your guys. Leadership 101. Put people in place and let them do their job. And you got to tip your hat to a lot of the scouts out there for the Pirates, and the pro side and the amateur side. And that's another thing I think we've done really well the last couple of years is our draft. The guys that we've identified going and getting and taking the best available, like Connor Griffin last year.
Nailed it.
He's available. Grab him. We need him in a Pirates uniform.
No doubt. And what a great human being.
Yeah.
But some of the trades in Pirates histories, like some of the guys that maybe we nailed. I looked it up last night, Cappy. I just want to throw a couple out there. So best trade of all time in my mind, Andy Van Slyke, Mike LaValliere, and Mike Dunn for Tony Pena. Think about how that turned out. I mean, obviously we don't know, but long story short is Andy Van Slyke's one of the best outfielders in Pirates history. You have Mike LaValliere, Gold Glove catcher, and an absolute
best
guy.
nickname ever.
And he's got the Spanky nickname. But you think about that, right? And that's wild. That's how that turned out, because it was just a need on both sides. And they wanted an offensive catcher in St. Louis, and they got it. And he started to falter, and our guys just took off. And it's just wild. Another one, what you think about, Bobby Bowe for Jesus De Leon. So Bobby Bowe's still getting paid. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
Every July 1st, Bobby Bowe Day.
Yeah, that's right.
Think about some of these trades because you just don't know, right? You don't know what's going to happen. I got a lot more, but it's crazy to think. We traded Andrew McCutchen and got Brian Reynolds, and now they're teammates. I said the Tony Watson trade with the Dodgers to get O'Neal Cruz. And probably one of my favorites is Nate McLeod at his highest moment netted us Charlie Morton, Jeff Locke, and Hernandez. I can't think of his first name. But we got a great haul, right? They nailed that one. Jeff Locke ended up being an all-star. He was a staple in 12, 13 through 16. And then Charlie Morton, we've seen his career. I think he's on year 88, and he's with Detroit now. It's kind of remarkable. But is there a trade that you could think of?
The biggest part of that trade, the Charlie Morton, Nate McLeod, I was on that team when that happened. I remember driving down McKnight Road when somebody called. I think it was my dad called me, and I said, "Y'all just traded Nate McLeod." And it's like, what? Nate was great in the clubhouse, great teammate. Everybody loved him. Awesome dude. I believe he had just won a Gold Glove in center field too the year before, 2008, right? And what it did was it was an off day. And the next day you came into the clubhouse and there was a locker with this name tag above it that said McCutchen.
Who's that?
Yeah, right. It opened the door for Andrew McCutchen. So, Andrew was blocked in the outfield by Nate McLeod. We had they had to clear some room. And I remember hearing the coaching staff, a lot of players upset. Nate's gone, whatnot. And hearing them say, well, we got this guy that we think is going to be better. And it's like, better than Nate? And, they were right. They were right. So, and then Charlie, it took Charlie a couple of years to kind of get his footing underneath him and become who he ultimately still is. He's still doing it. But no, that was definitely, in my opinion, that was the best trade in recent memory right there.
I was really hoping, and I was trying to lead you there, and I was really hoping you say that because I heard the same story from Jack Wilson. He was like, what are we doing? Why are we trading him?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, okay. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So we just had a graphic up, or we have a graphic up right now about the drafts and some of the best homegrown players, period, that ever, were for the Pirates. You have Barry Bonds, You have Andrew McCutchen, you have Clemente, Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, John Candelario, Bill Mazeroski. I could go on and on and on. And these guys are like either Hall of Famers or, staples that maybe possibly could be Hall of Famers later on. And that's to your point about the draft. Small market team, drafting and developing players is incredibly important. And I go back to what you said about the floor. You can take flyers on guys like Connor Griffin with the highest ceiling possible, but he also has a high floor of the guy's going to be able to run. He's going to play elite defense in center field. He's actually playing elite defense at shortstop. Is the hit tool going to hit? I don't know, but his floor for me was Drew Stubbs. I'll take a Drew Stubbs as a first rounder if it's every other year, every year. And that's the thing is like, that's why we talk about it. That's why we talk about these trades is, what are these guys going to be able to do? If 2 or 3 hit, you're talking about a different team. It doesn't have to take all of them. It doesn't have to take even 5 of them. You think about if you get a middle order bat, a great arm, and you draft a Skeens and you draft a McCutchen and they're still on the team, it changes everything relatively fast. And then you can build something that's withstandable for a time period. Like the Braves did, even though they're having a bad year because everybody's hurt. But they have a team of guys that came up through their system or they went out and they've locked them up and they were good for a 5-year span down this year. And that's the hope, I think, for both of us is that we see that from the returns, from everything that's going on, and maybe a multi-year deal in the offseason to get, a need of sorts. But it's so important.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's something special about playing for the team that drafts you. You get into the big leagues, like the team that drafts you and you go through the development process and you get to the big leagues with them. There's kind of a soft spot in your heart for that organization, for every player. Going back to what you said, like you bring in 1 or 2 guys that consistently can hit. Let's say it's Connor Griffin. Say Connor Griffin's here in 26, 27, and you plug him into the middle of that lineup. It takes pressure off 26. Brian Reynolds. Yeah, I'm here for 25.
I just
let's get him here.
Let the big dog eat, baby.
Yeah, I mean it takes some pressure off the other guys in that lineup that are in there. A Jared Triolo, a Brian Reynolds, Spencer Horwitz. Maybe Henry Davis or Joey Bart behind the plate. They don't feel like they have to be that big production piece on the offensive side, and they can kind of relax and just be who they are and contribute where they can contribute. And we're seeing that, I think, on the pitching side. I don't think it's any coincidence that, in my opinion, Mitch Keller's having the best year of his career. Well, this is the first full season in what, 4, 5, that you haven't looked at Mitch Keller. It's like, you got to be our ace. You got to be our guy.
The pressure's gone. The pressure's gone. Yep.
Yeah, just go out and pitch and be you. And I think, it gives some freedom to a Mike Burrows, where he doesn't have to come out and kind of have that savior tag in the rotation. Bubba Chandler, when he gets here, same things. Like, you kind of create a unit of guys, and that's built around Paul Skeens and what he's done as a legit ace of this club. And it's like everybody else just come out and pull their end of the rope. So if you can get some of those guys with the high ceiling, and high floor would be really nice too. But with that high ceiling, let them go play. It's going to be better. Again, the jury will be out for a couple of years with this trade deadline for what really happened. But, the first blush, I think there's a lot of things to be excited about, and looking forward to the next couple of years with the Pittsburgh Pirates and, young teams. We just saw it with the Colorado series. You get a lot of young guys up that are scrappy and fighting and scratching and clawing to get in the box and show what they can do. They're playing for something. That hunger is a good thing, and it can become contagious, and guys feed off each other.
Yeah. It's in Colorado. I was talking to one of the people in the front office, and they're so excited because there was a great divide. of which direction to go. Do they go really youthful, or do they kind of have a bridge year and kind of let those guys develop more? Well, it didn't work the bridge year. They ended up releasing most of those older guys and bringing up all the youth, and it's obviously panning out very well for them. And one thing that is wild to me about all of this is we maybe for the first time, at least in my tenure, even dating back to when I played here, we have 2 guys in the top 5 of the top 100 in all baseball. And me and Brault one day just looked back about 10 years to see the names. And, dude, every guy hits. If you get to that top 5, every dude is a dude. And that's got to be exciting for fans because at the end of the day, you don't know, right? There's been dudes that are a slam dunk. Mark Pryor didn't have the career everybody thought, right? You can even go Sandy Koufax, even though he's a Hall of Famer. He only pitched, less than a decade. It's wild to think. So you just don't know what the next year or even the next day. So you just embrace it. You hope for the best. But, man, if you can have great dudes with more predictability instead of high ceiling guys that could be very roller coaster esque, I'm a big believer of having both. But, yeah, I want to go real quick before we go to one of my favorite segments of all time, I believe it's going to be, is just talk about the draft in general, your draft day, what it was like, and maybe some of the guys you saw that get drafted that, man, you're just like, this is just a slam dunk that either did hit or didn't hit.
Well, Mike, as you can tell with the bags under my eyes and the wrinkles right here, what do they call these, crow's feet? I'm old.
I think it's wisdom.
Wisdom. It's I'm old. Let's go with the gray, the little gray in the beard. It's a lot different than it was than it is now.
60 rounds with us. 60 rounds.
I know, and
they were drafting janitors back in the day, dude.
Right.
I mean, it's just I'll take a chance on him.
What do they call the last pick of the draft in the NFL? Mr. Irrelevant or something like that?
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah, that's
Mr.
a good tag.
Irrelevant.
Like, give me that jersey. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I'll take anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's during my time, like the internet was still pretty new, but they did broadcast it on the internet, and it was like, I think teams got like 20 seconds when it was their turn after the first round. I didn't go in the first round. I was a pretty highly rated amateur after my junior year, and I got hurt. I broke my leg the summer after my junior year and kind of fell in the draft a little bit. So was a little disappointed when I didn't go, top 2 rounds, and actually had a summer league game in Roswell, Georgia, about an hour from where I grew up. Ironically, Roswell's where I live now, that I was driving to. And I was driving to it, and I was on Georgia 400, and I get off on the exit, and the phone rings, and it's my dad. And he goes, "Well, son, you were taken in the 7th round, the first pick in the 7th round by the Pittsburgh Pirates." And I was like, oh, okay, that's great. And he goes, I think you probably need to turn around and come home. We need to find you a job. You need to get to work. Like, doesn't look like baseball is going to work out for you. And that was my relationship with my dad. Some tough love, and it's like, disappointed things didn't go the way I went. I've got a little bit of hard-headedness in me as well. So I think I hung up the phone and I went and played my game, and then I got home and we sat down. We had a long conversation about what was ahead. Am I going to go to school? LSU is where I had signed, so a long way from Atlanta, and was going to get a scholarship. Things were, most of the schooling was going to be paid for, but it was going to be a financial burden on my family. Money. No NIL money, not back then. So I ended up signing a couple of weeks later and started my career. But it's just a crazy, exciting time, very exciting time. I came to the realization that I was going to college to play baseball. Baseball is all I'd wanted to do since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and it's all I thought about, still about all I think about. So I started my career and got into baseball as a pitcher. I should have articulated that. I was going to college as a catcher, and the teams in baseball, Major League Baseball, and in the draft, it was probably 50-50. About 50% of the teams that talked to me were like, yeah, we want you to catch. We think you can hit. And then the other 50%, the Pirates obviously in that camp, liked me more as a pitcher. So I tell kids that I throw with and work with all the time, like, actually, I hated pitching. Couldn't stand it. Like, growing
Now
up,
they're
I
the best
wanted
athletes alive. Oh, that's great.
I wanted nothing to do with it. Every time I pitched, like, this is no fun. I don't like it. I'd rather catch and I'd rather hit and control the game from that angle.
Yeah.
But
It's the best place ever.
I genuinely like grew to love pitching and the strategy of pitching, the mental side of it. I wouldn't change my path and my story if I could. I've had an incredible life, very, very blessed to have done what I did and have things happen the way they happened. So I learned to pitch as a professional. Had a pretty quick trip through the minor leagues. I had some struggles and some adversity, but I got to the big leagues fairly quickly, like 2.5 years. So I broke in right after I turned 22 years old, was young.
Awesome.
And I think I was the youngest player on the Pirates roster my first 3 years with the Pirates, which was pretty cool. Until McCutchen came up. I'm pretty sure I was the youngest guy on the roster. And then when Kutch came up, I was still 25, 26, still pretty young, with 4 years under my belt. So that was my journey. Great journey, great path. Like all of us that are drafted by the Pirates and get to the big leagues with the Pirates, wanted to play my whole career here. That didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Was heartbroken when it didn't happen initially, and then some of my best memories are in other places and great friendships, and just love this game. So,
yeah, we have a similar story in the sense of, like, I was a 7th rounder, and my dad thought I'd never even make it through my first year of college, let alone get drafted. Yeah. I fell too. I thought I was going to be a 3rd or 4th round pick, and I think I was the last All-American taken in 06, which still humbles me to today. I remember walking outside, leaving my family and a couple friends that were there, my now wife Jacqueline, to go shoot basketball because my brain was just going 1,000 miles an hour. Like, all right, if I fall any further, I was 7th round pick. If I fell to 8, 9, 10, I said that, I was probably going to go back to school. And sure enough, first basket I shoot, my Jacqueline runs out. It's like, hey, Scott Corman's on the phone with the Rockies. You just been drafted. I'm like, let's go. So it is a wild ride. And it's fun though. And all the injuries, everything, the trades, the moving, I'm with you. It's made me who I am, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Not for the extra cheese, not for the extra winning, because now me and you get to take what we've learned, give back to the game, give back to kids, and impart what we've done and wish we did to these kids chasing the exact same thing we did as little grasshoppers, as you said. Yep. So that's really, really cool to even think about when you put it in perspective. Now we're going to do my favorite. I know it's going to be, I did it with Jack Wilson. We're going to do the all-teammate team draft.
Exclusive interviews.
It was all that and more.
Insights.
He's doing everything right now.
And game previews.
Guys that are great can channel that.
Pirates Game Day Live, 30 minutes before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Allegheny Health Network.
Okay, Capper, we're going to see who's going to win. Hopefully the fans love this. They can vote on it if and when they watch this. I'm sure this will be something that's put out on social media everywhere because this is going to be fun. And I have a good team. And we're going to start with catchers. All right?
Good.
So, Capper, start us off. All-teammate team. Who is behind the plate? You can go starter, backup, however you want to do it. Who's behind the plate for Matt Capps' winning team?
Ivan Rodriguez, Pudge.
Oh!
Good luck.
Oh, okay. Do you have a backup?
Let's see. My backup.
Say it. He's the DH, isn't he?
Joe Mauer.
I mean, come on, dude. How about that?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You may have taken me on that one. I have Yadier Molina as my starter.
Ooh.
And I got Russell Martin backing him up. Yeah, I got a good tandem, but I don't have that tandem. I mean, you're talking about Cal Raleigh. We talked about him, right? The last person, one of the last people to do what Cal Raleigh's doing, or even close, was Pudge Rodriguez with the home runs.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't see that anymore. That offensive threat with the defensive threat, it's crazy. Wow. Yep. Okay. That one kind of blew me away. All right. We'll go to third base. Who's your third baseman of choice?
Let's say Jose Bautista. Joey Bats.
Ooh, okay. Are you picking Toronto Bautista? Like he just happened to be in a Pirates uniform? That's
He
what you're
was
saying.
he was in a Pirates uniform. He was a teammate of mine in AA and the big
Oh,
leagues
that's cool.
here in Pittsburgh.
How about
Yeah,
that?
so
How that transformation still
it's incredible.
one
He
of the
didn't
most
have the
remarkable
success.
things.
Yeah, didn't have the
Yeah.
success here in Pittsburgh that he obviously had in Toronto. He got to Toronto and figured some stuff out. But great guy, great human being first and foremost, and what he did in Toronto for that stretch of 5 years
Oh, yeah.
was incredible.
Yeah, epic backflips too. Mine, I may have gotten you on this one, even though he's getting older and he's falling off a little bit this year. Is Nolan Arenado.
Yeah,
I mean,
I knew that was
I
coming.
think it's-
That guy's
Yeah,
pretty
platinum.
good.
He's platinum and 10 golds.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. That's pretty good. And he swings it pretty
Yeah.
well.
He does. He does. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer in my mind, as long as he can
Yeah.
stay healthy and finish his contract. All right, so
I think so.
shortstop. Shortstop. This
Um,
let me say this real quick. I think this one's gonna be hard to pick who wins in my mind because it depends on how you want your shortstop to be. And the one
Yeah.
thing I can tell you, mine needed to be healthy.
Healthy, okay.
So go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
I know who you're going. So, you
Mhm.
know, it was Nolan Arenado's next door neighbor for a long time. And I agree
Yeah.
with you. If he had stayed healthy, if he had stayed healthy for a 10, 12-year stretch, I think with what he was doing the beginning part of his career, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. Troy Tulowitzki
Yeah,
there.
talk about Troy Tulowitzki. Yep. I thought you'd nail that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've got two on the shortstop side. I got to give some love to who you mentioned earlier, Jack Wilson. I think defensively, Jack Wilson, Gold Glove caliber defender, should have.
So it's funny you say that, Cappy.
I don't think he won one, right?
He didn't, and they didn't have the same measurements. So one
Yeah.
day I sent him a note and said, "Hey, Jack, by the way, you're a top 35 defensive player all time, just in case you're wondering." Because
Yeah,
they redid it all.
I believe it. Yeah,
Yeah, he had almost a 39
was-
WAR in defense. Yeah, incredible.
yeah, he's unbelievable defensively. And handled the bat fairly well too. Not a whole lot of power, but he reminds me, or IKF reminds me a lot of Jack on the offensive side. Just does what needs to get done. Just a ball player. But you know, little insight here. Jack Wilson called probably 50% of the pitches I threw for a couple of years, which was pretty.
I love that.
Which was pretty
I've heard
awesome.
that over and over again. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cool.
So I'd catch the ball back from the catcher, and I'd look back there, and I'd Jack, fastball, no, breaking ball, nah, you know, like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
got it. So he was in tune with that.
So awesome.
And then I played with JJ Hardy in Minnesota too, and
Oh.
JJ, the offensive side, that dude had some pop in his bat, some sneaky
Yeah,
pop.
that was a sneaky. So you got both sides. Oh,
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. My backup shortstop, I was in between Jose Iglesias because he's one of the best defenders I've ever played with, but I picked Josh Harrison just because that was his favorite position. He always wanted to play it, and it's a shame he didn't. We had some really good shortstops while I was a Pirate, but he was remarkable at shortstop. I do think it was his best position. So, all right, moving on to
Gotcha.
second base. I'll say that one is an equal tie, but my guy may have not been healthy, so you may have won that one. Let's go to second base, and I'm going to throw a
right.
giant curveball at you. You go first.
All right, Freddie Sanchez for me, because I
that's
played
a
with
good
him defensively. He was good, but he also won the batting
Mm-hmm.
title.
So he's one of my favorite players all time to watch because
Freddie?
similar size. Yeah, I loved his rhythm, the way he hit. Great pick, and with him and Jack up the middle, that's a remarkable. I went with bat first. I put Josh Donaldson at second base.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I watched his transition to third base in the fall league. I played against him all the way up, and it was kind of remarkable to see how good defensively he was on the infield. And they thought he was going to stick at second base. They didn't know if it was going to work, but he ended up at third base. Showed out over there. They thought he could put better numbers up as a second baseman, but yet he's almost a 50 WAR player in his career. All right, so first base. Who you got at first base?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
'Cause
but it's
it
gonna
might be
really
the
hurt your
same guy.
feelings. It's not. It's not.
Okay, go ahead.
Todd Helton.
Okay, good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Your guy's on my bench though. I got him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Morney. Justin Morneau at first base.
Yeah, it was tough. That was a tough one for me because I love Morney. Helton was like a big brother to me, but I mean Helton's Helton.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go out in the outfield. Who's your left fielder?
All right, so left fielder. He didn't play a ton of left field when I was with him. He actually played more first base. But Adam Dunn, I'm going to go with. The big fella.
The big fella. Oh, man. Big Dunny out there. I love it. I'm going to go with
that's another really good one. So I was between Adam Dunn and Jason Bay. So Jason Bay would be on my bench.
Yeah. That's you're slowly getting a more balanced team. Center field. We probably maybe have the same guy.
Kutch. Yeah.
Kutch. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, right field.
Right field, I'm going to go with Michael Kadire. And the great thing about Michael Kadire is you could literally put him on any position on the field because I think in just a couple of years of playing with him, I think he played every position except shortstop and catcher when I was a teammate with him.
Wow.
I
did not know.
He was unbelievable. I mean, he was right fielder when I got there, and then Morneau gets hurt, and next thing you know, he's taking ground balls with a first base mitt. It's like Cuddy plays first, and Gardenhire starts chuckling. He's like, he is tonight, and he gets over there and does a great job. I saw him at second base. I saw him at third base. Maybe not center field either. Denard Span had center field pretty much covered.
Oh, yeah, pretty much everything covered out there. I'm going to go with Starling Marte. I didn't realize how good of a career he's really ended up having. He's still playing well for the Mets off the bench. But yeah, he's still to today, specimen-wise, like physical specimen, one of the most incredible athletes I've ever seen in my entire life. He could have easily been Mike Trout was his ceiling, and Marte is his floor because that's how good he is. I mean, I don't know how you can say he had a bad and then one last one for the position players, the DH.
Yep. You go first.
Who you got for DH?
You go first.
Jason Giambi.
Oh, I saw Big G in the airport a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Big G, baby.
I'm going to go with Jim Thome.
Oh, you got the whole nice team, dude. Oh my gosh, you got
nicest
the
guy on
team.
the planet.
Done?
600 tanks. Yeah.
Thome, that's awesome.
The best.
Yeah. Hey, I think you may have got me. I was like, this is my sleeper. All right, so let's go starting five all in a row. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you hammer it out.
You want to go first?
Go ahead.
Max Scherzer's going to start day one. Blake Snell's going to follow with Garrett Cole after that, and then Wainwright and Yu Darvish.
All right. I got to think about this a little bit. I'm going to go Steven Strasburg, Corey Kluber. Jason Marquis.
Ooh, good one. I love Marquis. He can hit too.
Let's see. Yeah, he could. I need a lefty. Let's go Paul Maholm or Zach Duke. Maholm probably had a better starting career long term than Duke did.
Yep. He was reliable too.
And Charlie Morton.
Ooh, okay. All right. Now, 2 bullpen arms to round it out. 2 bullpen arms and 2 bench players to round it out. Go ahead.
Joe Nathan.
Oh.
Ooh. Let's see. Joe Nathan and Jose Mesa, Roberto Hernandez. I'm gonna do 3.
Okay, I like it.
I might have 1,100 saves in those 3 guys.
You definitely may have 1,100 saves. That just absolutely floored me because I'm not even close to that. I was gonna go. Whew, man, you got me thrown off now. Adam Ottavino, Mark Melanson.
Okay.
And Joel Hanrahan.
Oh, I had Hammer on my list too.
Yeah, and I put Liriano would be my first lefty. I thought
I didn't think about that. Could have gone Liriano in the rotation.
Oh, you definitely go with Liriano over. Yeah, he's nasty. All right, two bench guys. We'll wrap it up.
All right, you go first. Let me think about that.
So bench guys, I got to go. Obviously, got Martin and Josh Harrison, we already mentioned. And then I'm going to go Justin Morneau and Derek Lee.
Wow.
Big pop off the bench.
All right. So I'm actually thinking of actual guys like utility guys, bench guys.
I'm thumping.
All right. Let me go. And I didn't think about this as a shortstop, but I'm going to go Francisco Lindor.
What?
From my time in Cleveland. Yep.
Good
I
for
whiffed
you.
on that one.
Nice nail.
Yep.
No, it's okay. He's on your bench. He's young.
He is. Yeah, he was like 19. He might have been 18. The locker next to mine in spring training. Let's see. Jason Kubel.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, a little power lefty off the bench.
Little power lefty off the bench. Cappy, I don't know who wins. I say we leave it up to the fans. We're going to argue about it as we go off air and throughout the day when we have 9,000 things to do today. But I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your wisdom. I absolutely enjoy working with you every day and just talking shop, talking about the real things of baseball, not just the X's and O's, but the reality of the people. And I think that's the one thing I love about you the most is you always revert back to the human being. And I don't think it's talked about enough. So I appreciate that from you, and I appreciate you coming on.
No, it's my pleasure. Enjoy every second of my time with you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Well, hey, this is it for Bucs Bounty. Thank you for joining us. Please like, share, subscribe, and you can find us anywhere you get your podcast. And if you want our pretty mugs, please, we were both catchers. So I kind of say that lightly. Please go to YouTube. All right. Have a good day. Thank you.